Hey guys, welcome to another episode of RIDDIM Chat. This episode, we are going to look at what a year it has been. We're going to talk to gentleman about his top 5 tunes of the year, and we interviewed none other than the co-founder of VP Records herself, Miss Pat. She will take us on a real journey. So, stay tuned. I'm Nell and you're watching RIDDIM Chat.
Your RIDDIM Chat.
So, 2020 is almost over, thank God. And although it has been a really challenging year for the most of us, it has not all been bad. So, welcome to the year in review. It is safe to say that 2020 has been the year of change. A pandemic has changed the way many of us look at the world. It forces us to reflect, and personally, I became more grateful for some of the things that I took for granted. The year was a weird mix of communities drifting apart due to opposing views on facts, but also I feel that we still came together as a community, with the right amount of distance, of course, to inspire social change. We saw some of our legends leave us this year. And we saw some of the new generation thrive. Of course, the music industry has been heavily affected by this crisis, but just like water, music will always find a way to stream. The streaming hype took over and has been surprisingly redeeming. The quality of these streams was getting better and better, and we even got to witness some very memorable live performance straight from Jamaica.
Really supposed to be thankful. Blessings all for my life, but we thank God for the journey, the earnings are just for the plus.
Variation, I can't breathe. When the youth can't write and can't read. Through days, birds and pass and young girls. Yes, we carry good way. Well, and we can't do your son and sing that one, yeah. Well, yes, you're here. The voice of the Rasta man. Say.
Also, it seemed that the sound system clash culture had a real comeback this year.
Oh, Tarantula kill him again!
Working hours. Original Poison Dart.
Ruffer!
Courtesy. S-Class.
Ruffer!
We'll kill him again.
Ruffer!
Let's fire it up.
Hey boy, Rafa. No, me not go tell you about your mother. Nah go make no speech about pasta. Nah go say nothing about no mafia, no Corleone, no Godfather. Rafa, me brother. From the last time he kill you, your English, it don't get no better. Why you never use the Rosetta? It teach you English, patois, whatever.
Sound I get lock off clean. Courtesy, step aside, make the world see the queen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is S-Class, Selectress, MC, Wicked Noras. Some idiot sound still stuck in at the past. The future is female, them a go get lost. Big up Courtesy at the boss. I man done retire, so the torch have to pass. Every single woman where I watch this I root for them boy, they a get killed by a woman shooter. S-Class I murder them youth, yeah. Call her the cuter shooter.
The quarantine clashes with Walshy Fire and Warrior Sound pulled a big viewership all over the globe. But, without question, the streaming highlight of the year was this one.
We got 500,000 people watching us right now all over the world. Do you want to be that guy? Do you want to be this guy?
Versus battle between Beenie Man and Bounty Killer was one of the most successful ones, counting almost 500,000 live viewers. In a 90-minute live stream, Beenie and Bounty showcased their craft as true ambassador of the culture, taking verses to a complete new level true to sound system culture. Still, Beenie and Bounty were left off the Versus Billboard cover, which sparked anew a debate about Jamaicans being too often left out once dancehall culture reaches an international audience. Not only in dancehall, but in general. Black people being left out once cultures born in our communities turn into profitable products has been a topic this year. As we know, the Black Lives Matter movement was not sparked by the cultural appropriation of Caribbean culture, which is still very much happening, but by a horrific 8 minutes and 46 seconds in which George Floyd fought for his life while the whole world watched. It was the impulse for many to rise up and fight systemic racism in all its forms. Because, as some white people rediscovered this year, racism is not a thing of the past, and it's also not something that only bad people do. Most likely you have done something racist at some point without knowing. If you are still confused, we are leaving some book suggestions in the description. Change is coming, and women are in the lead. The otherwise male-dominated reggae and dancehall scene saw women come out strong this year. As it is so accurately put in the current RIDDIM issue, did you get your copy? The present is female. Shinsia being the top artist of the year, scoring hit after hit, and Kofi, who was the youngest to have ever won a Grammy in the reggae category. Janine released her Note to Self album and led a challenge to help and ground us in these difficult times. And the BBC Extra live performance from Savannah, Lila Ike, Naomi Cohen and Jazz Elise reached almost 4.5 million views on YouTube. Not to forget Spice, who started a new talk show called Spice It Up, and despite the pandemic, did not slow down. Overall, it was a strong year for women, and we're looking forward to seeing much more of them in the future and the present. It has not been an easy year for RIDDIM, but an exciting one still. In March, we celebrated our 100th issue. 100 issues of RIDDIM magazine. Oh, and RIDDIM also launched a really cool new YouTube show. I heard the host is supposedly amazing. So maybe 2020 wasn't the best year, but here we are. We made it through. So be compassionate, take care of each other, remember Black lives still matter, wear your masks, and most of all, let's get this year done with.
Diese Nachricht geht raus an alle, die immer noch kein RIDDIM-Abo haben. Hey Leute, 20 € im Jahr und noch ein nices T-Shirt drauf. Worauf wartest du?
As it is tradition, every year at the end of the year, we ask you guys about your musical highlights. You get to tell us in the RIDDIM Reader poll about your favorite rhythms, your favorite artist, your newcomer maybe, or your favorite tunes. For this episode of RIDDIM Chat, we asked one of Germany's biggest reggae artists about his top 5 of the year. Welcome, gentlemen.
Well, first of all, thanks for the invitation, yeah? That's already difficult to name 5 songs out of this year because 2020 was a crazy year, you know? But for an artist, it's always good when something happens. So I felt like there was a lot of input in 2020, you know? So I got a number 5, Chronics, Cool as a Breeze, yeah? Especially when I saw the video to it. The man sit down on a chair and fly through the streets of Kingston. And I like Chronics on that type of new school rhythms, you know what I mean? So it's like an unusual thing. I don't know. But I apologize already for all the other 195 songs that I don't mention right now. Yeah. But Chronics, Cool as a Breeze, he sounds so effortless, you know? He sounds like there's nothing left to prove. Let's go with the vibe. Sit on a chair and fly through Kingston. Yeah, that's my number 5. But I don't want to give it a chart, you know? So
yeah, okay.
The top 5.
Just the top 5. All right, okay. So tell us about another song that was memorable for you personally this year.
Well, Would You Bless It? Yeah, when that song came out, I was like, wow, man. Like, he was never gone. You know, and it wasn't like with Cartel that, you know, he continuously were voicing songs like that, you know. So when that song came out, I was like, wow, it's like a memory pill, you know, in a modern package with a new kind of flavor, but still Buju Banton. Bless It is definitely in my top 5 for 2020.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. That one is strong, definitely. All right, so you already named 2. So a third song?
Well, to me, the artist of the year, again, the dancehall artist of the year was Vibes. Yeah, the amount of input is fucking incredible. Yeah. So to me, one of the songs that I did pump the most in my car was "It's a Sin" from Vibes Cartel. You know, I just like the phrase, I like the rhythm, I like the way how we, you know, sit on the rhythm. We all know that he's a lyrical genius, so everything came together on that song.
He always delivers every year.
Incredible. Incredible.
All right, so I'm gonna bother you for this one more.
Well, you don't bother me at all. Not at all. I think it's Calibats. Holding firm. You know, I was on the same rhythm. When Kali sent me the rhythm and he said, yeah, we're doing a selection on it. Listen to the rhythm, tell me if you feel it, you know, and I heard it like 8 seconds and I knew already, wow, that's different, you know, the way how it's mixed and stuff. And to me, he had the strongest song on the selection. I like my one too, don't get me wrong, you know, but I'm not that person who listens to my own music, you know. You know, it'd be funny, you ask an artist, now what's your top 5 songs? And just name your own songs. Not true, it's like, but Calibats Holding Firm, very strong lyrics. It just sent me in a certain mood, you know, the rhythm just kick and bounce. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So we asked you to do an incredible hard thing, yeah.
I don't
to limit it down to 5 songs is super, super hard, but I do want to ask you for a 5th one.
Well, there's definitely, I don't want to put them in the charts, but I can definitely say this was the #1 song. And I guess we all agree. It's impossible to hate, you know, you gotta feel that song. When that song came out, you know, in the lockdown, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about.
So you say it then.
Coffee.
Right. No doubt. The rhythm, this girl, you know, is beyond everything. The way how she put things together, you know. So that was my #1 song 2020, without any doubt.
It was a really difficult year, so I just want to end. I don't want to keep it too long, but I do want to end to ask you about your personal highlight this year, something positive.
I mean, that year was the weirdest year that I can remember so far, you know. And of course, we're all going through something right now. It's crazy that, you know, that none of us know what tomorrow will bring worldwide at the same time, you know. That was never like that before. My highlights, well, in March, the lockdown, when the lockdown started, we were supposed to go on a big tour. We canceled the tour, you know, we stayed home. And then we decided to play some shows, like car cinema shows. And it was the weirdest thing I experienced so far when it comes to stage show. You know, you go on the stage, you don't hear a noise because everybody sits in their cars. You know, it's hard to build up a intimate vibe, but then it just switched, you know. And what happened was a gratefulness, and that we all miss it so much, and we were so happy and thankful to be on stage. Just for me, you know, I'm used to tour 24/7, 48, you know. Since 20 years, I'm on the road, actually. I'm more on the road than I'm home, you know. So that was my first chapter in my life since I started this thing, that I was just sitting home the whole time. So when we had the first car cinema shows, you know, it was a blessing because everybody was just grateful. Maybe it was just a little hot drop on a stone. I mean, a drop on a hot stone. But, you know, the vibe of thankfulness and you know, appreciation was like beyond everything. Another highlight was that I've never spent so much time with my family, you know. All of a sudden there was space for certain things where, you know, there was no space before. You know, cleaning up the house, you know. I got into the gardening, you know. I start like, you know, do vegetables in my garden, you know. I spent a lot of time with my kids in a row, you know. I was in Cologne. I can't remember when I was that long in Cologne, you know. So it kind of grounded me, you know. And I found these times of reflection, you know, because we were moving too fast, you know. The world was at this collective burnout. Faster, further, better. you know, and always this projects in mind, you know, and now it's like, you can plan anything. So it leads you to stay in the moment, which is another type of meditation, if you see it from that perspective, you know, because you don't think about the future, because it doesn't make sense. You can't plan anything. And you don't think about the past, you're in the moment, you know. So it leads to the point that I'm, you know, I realize, wow, I just want to be thankful for what is and not what's gonna happen, you know. You always have these projects and plans, and it was the first time that I realized, okay, I don't know what tomorrow brings, so I really appreciate this day right now, you know. Yeah, another highlight was my release of the first German project, Blaue Stunde. You know, that was a big struggle because since 3 years I was working on that album. I went through all the doubts, and you know, I think we recorded like 60 demos. You know, I threw a lot of songs away. You know, every time I felt a song, a week later I didn't feel it again. You know, there was so much mind fuck involved. You know, so that was definitely a highlight when the album came out. I said, okay, now I cannot change anything no more. You know, it's a time to let go. And the appreciation and the feedback was very motivating to see that the people really digging it, you know. And even people from outside Germany say, yeah, I don't understand the lyrics, but I dig the vibes, man, you know. And it gave me another inspiration for the English songs now, because I'm working on English songs right now, you know, and plan to do another project soon. And yeah, after that, I felt like I could find some sleep again, you know. The baby was born.
Nice. Yeah. No, there's always so much work that go and so much heart that go into these projects, and yeah, it turned out really, really well. So.
Thank you. It's just sad that you cannot tour it, you know, because right now in these days you do an album so you can go on tour, you know. And now this album is out and we can't tour, and you don't know when it's going to happen. You know, we removed the tour from April to December now, but who knows, you know? Yeah.
Well, I do hope that it goes back to normal, that we get to see you back on stage very, very soon. And I do wish you all the best. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you too. Darling, take care, yeah? Thanks for your interest.
Gentleman's new album, Blaue Stunde, is out now on all major platforms. And after this episode, don't forget to head over to riddim.de to fill out your Rhythm Reader poll and let us know what your highlights of the year were.
Your RIDDIM Chat. Reasoning.
Today we talk to Patricia Chin, better known as Miss Pat, the P in VP Records. Miles ahead in reggae and soca music is their slogan for good reason. Everything started with Miss Pat's husband Vincent, the V in VP Records, who started out stocking jukeboxes with fresh vinyl. He accumulated the old 45s and later sold them in a store. Randy's Record Mart was born, where his wife, Miss Pat, sat behind the counter dealing with all of the customers as well as the artists. Based on 17 North Parade, Randy's wasn't only a record store, but had an adjacent studio on the first floor, Studio 17. At the end of the 70s, the Chins moved their business to Queens, New York. It has been quite a journey, becoming the largest independent reggae label in the world. VP has been working with all the big names in the biz, from Sean Paul, Shaggy, Capleton or Beanie Man to Itana, Agent Sasko, Barris Hammond, Ja 9, Busy Signal, and the list goes on. Miss Chin, Miss Chin, Miss Pat.
They call me Miss Pat. I don't know what, that's the name was stuck on me. What can I say? It's over 80 years, so I can't change it again. I have to accept it. I have to accept it. Good morning. Yes, it's morning here still.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So good morning to you, Miss Pat. Thank you so much for being with us. Your new autobiography, Miss Pat, My Reggae Music Journey, is coming out in spring.
Yes.
As someone that has basically witnessed reggae music history from scratch, what does reggae mean to you?
Reggae means to me joy, happiness, feeling good, and friendship. because reggae, the music on its whole, it's very empowering and it unites people.
That is true. Especially for some of the younger generation. Can you maybe take us back to the 60s, to downtown Kingston in the 60s, 17 North Parade, Randy's Record Marts and Studio 17? What was the vibe like in those days?
Back in the 60s, let me check back now, Randy's Record Mart. The store was situated downtown at the heart of Kingston. And there was a lot of crowd. We had a bus. We have the people selling on the sidewalk. It was a busy area. And there we were selling music. So we have all the artists gather up, the singers, the musician, ready to go upstairs in the studio. Very exciting time. We were all young. That time was about 25, 30. And we had a lot of young artists blooming, because at first we didn't have a culture named reggae. It was all American records in the early 50s. So after reggae started to come up front, then the name developed as reggae. But before that was R&B, in the 50s. And reggae wasn't played on the radio. It was just in the sound system and the dances. And then reggae became famous and put us on the globe. It's 20 years after that I stayed in the store and developed the artists, developed a business. And here it is today, after 60 years. I'm still here. But
then,
in the 50s was an exciting new time, new artists, new development. And it was just a time of wanting to have a culture. As Bob Marley was just about 16, 17. And just trying to get something new. Because Jamaica on a whole, we use music to really feel good and to be hopeful and to be joyous. And that's, everybody sings in Jamaica. We have a lot of singers.
Back then, what was your job at Randy's Record Mart, basically? Or what did you mostly enjoy about working in that time?
Well, I mostly enjoy working with the artists and learning the music, because being a woman in Jamaica, I think I was one of 2 women that really worked the music. It was Mrs. Pottinger at Tip Top Records and myself. It was mainly men do the music. So I had a lot to learn, and I had to double up my learning, because I had to learn everything about the music, who sing the music, because like 12, 15 songs came out a day. So I have to know all the songs, the producers, the rhythm, was it done over? And I spent most of my 20 years on the counter, selling, meeting customers, and just building a business. So we have a lot of artists passing through, exciting time. Because it was a development. It was a development of a music that was not heard before. It was a starting of a revolution of a new sound and a new music called reggae. Yeah. So I was there from the birth of reggae.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Is there an encounter? You already said a lot of artists were passing through. Is there an encounter with an artist maybe that you remember especially?
Oh, there's so many artists that I remember that even today, some have passed on, but some are still here. Bob Marley passed through when he was about 16, 17. He used to pass by. He would just pop in every now and then to look for his friend to play football. Then I met Peter Tosh, who went upstairs and do a lot of recording. Then was Lee Perry. At first my husband brought down a lot of jazz musicians, like Johnny Nash. Johnny Nash came too and do a lot of recording upstairs. Fats Domino was there too. Arthur Jenkins. Quite a few musicians came from the state. And somehow they just loved the studio. And it was an exciting time. You know, we have a little area in Jamaica called Idler's Rest. There you can find all the musicians, all the singers. Everybody was right there trying to get a job to be a backup singer or to play a guitar or to dub in some music. And my son, Clive, and his friend Augustus Pablo, they were on at 16. The Java was recorded there. It was an exciting time, especially when they recorded in the studio and they would make a dub plate. A dub plate is a sample. And they would run downstairs because the studio was upstairs and the record store was downstairs. So I would run downstairs to put it on, to hear it and to see the reaction of the people. So it was an exciting time for the musician, for the artists, for us and everyone.
When you think back to that time, there is, you know, especially if you keep in mind names such as Leslie Kong or Ermin Chin Loy or Byron Lee, Chinese Jamaicans have had a great impact on Jamaican music that, you know, it feels like it has only been acknowledged in recent years. Do you, or did you back then, was that ever something that was, you know, that was discussed, or did you feel that Chinese Jamaicans always got the respect that they deserved for their accomplishments in the music industry?
Well, as I started to write my book, I was reflecting why the Chinese were so much involved with the reggae music. Because way back when, you know, the Chinese usually keep like a little store for the community, sell grocery. And I think it has developed from the Chinese store, Pesa. You know, they had a little grocery store, and in front of the grocery store was a little Pesa where everybody would hang out. So I think that's why the Chinese on a whole, they did the business part of the music. They couldn't sing, but they are the one that helped, just like VP Records, to help to develop the music and make a business from the music. Because the artists themselves doesn't know the business side, they are singers. And the Chinese usually, I think, had the money to buy the equipment, the speakers and so on, but they couldn't sing. So as children, I think the blacks are always the one that sings, and the Chinese is the one that sustain them to help to build it into a business. So it goes hand in hand. We embrace each other.
You already mentioned it earlier that there wasn't a lot of women around when you were there.
Right.
Reggae has been and continues to be a very heavily male-dominated music industry. But how was it for you to work as a woman in general?
Well, back home, I didn't think myself as being a woman different from a man. You know, we all worked. Most women are the breadwinners of the family in any case. So even the people that sells on the sidewalk, the fruits and vegetables, I was just selling another commodity. It wasn't any difference because we just work. I didn't realize it until I came to America that I was doing a man's job. Because when I would do telemarketing and I would be on the phone, they would say to me, Miss Pat, can you put on a man? Could you put on a man for me? I don't think you know what I want. But little did they know I spent 20 years on the counter and I had to learn everything. I have to know the singer, the producers, the artists, what's the rhythm, who versioned the rhythm. I had to know everything. So I was very good at that because spending 20 years on a counter, I learned a lot. Had to work double hard, but I learned a lot. And every day I would talk to the artists for feedback. Who is hot? What's the name of the song? What's coming out? Producers pass by. Yes, I had to know everything. So I didn't class myself as a woman doing a man's job until when I came to America. I realized that there was a distinction. And I didn't even realize that I was one of the 2 women that does recording and music, because it was just natural for me, just like any other business. I would have preferred being in the music business, however, than having a grocery store. Although I have nothing about, from grocery store, but I'm happy that my husband picked music.
Now, in your book, you describe how the political situation, especially around the mid-70s, turned more and more violent. How did that affect you and the runnings of the shop?
Well, it was a violent time. And I remember when they have the riot, we had to close the shutter 2-3 times a day. And we had to bring in our friends on the sidewalk that sell the fruits. And then maybe half an hour time, then we open back. And we have the little hole that we look through, that everything was quiet down. But it was a very chaotic time, and everybody was very scared. Because when people start to run, that something is happening bad. So we had to close the store. And that was one of the reasons why we left, because we were just so afraid. We couldn't feel peaceful to do what we do best, because 2-3 times a day we have to draw down the shutter. We have one of those big high-end shutters. And we had to stay inside for about an hour, and everything quiet down, then we go back out. So it was a very chaotic and fearful time. And then my husband said, we can't live this way, we have to leave. So in 1977, we moved. But my husband was here 3 years before I did. So when my husband left, I was there with my other 2 kids. I was running the studio and the store, packing up the trailer to move and everything, buying a lot of food, because we were only allowed to take 50 American dollars out the country. So we had to pack the food and the music, take everything with us.
Wow. So
one time when we did have the trailer unpacking at the home in Jamaica, Queens, the custom officer said to me, "Miss Jane, why are you carrying so much food? We don't have a famine here in America." I said, "Yes, but we have to carry the food because we haven't got any money to buy the food. So we have to carry enough food to serve us for a long time." So little did they know that we had so much chaos going on, and we couldn't carry more than $50 when we leave the country.
Wow.
Or they would have taken the money from us away and put us in jail.
Oh, wow. I mean, everything that you describe, of course, I think it really paints the picture of, how bad the situation was. But I can imagine that it was still probably very hard to leave home. How was it for you to start anew in America?
Very hard, because when I came here in 77, and maybe 75, because I traveled sometime, people didn't know reggae. They only knew Bob Marley. So I had to be trying to build a business, trying to get my kids in school, trying to know where to live, helping to educate the customer about the reggae music, because they didn't know reggae music. It was very, very hard. I remember my sale for 1 week is like $270. I had to go to Brooklyn 3-4 times a day to carry a couple 45s, because there were a couple record stores, in Brooklyn and Bronx. And maybe for 2-3 years before we start to really see signs. But it was just every day we had to reach out to everyone, talk to them, tell them about the product, tell them why we are here, and getting new customers. And even when I went to California about 3 years ago, there was a gentleman said, "Oh, Miss Pat, I used to buy from you." Most of my customers, I don't know them. For the 40 years I'm here, I've never met some of my customers, but I keep selling, you know, we mail the records out to them. And they said, he told me, so when I received the box, I feel so happy because I know I had some goodies in this bag. I usually fill it up with other literature and tell them about Jamaica and a newspaper I put them in the box. So they really appreciate that. And then when I went to Cuba, there was Mexico, there was a customer that said he bought a Reggae Gold from maybe 20 years ago, and he still had the jacket. He asked me to sign it. I said, oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. And then when I went to Rotterdam in Spain, that was another experience, you know, to hear my record playing. And I think it was, somebody was on the radio. I don't remember his name, but it's my good friend. And he would be playing some records that my husband made from 40 years before, 50 years before. And it was such a feeling that I didn't have before. Just to hear so much people love my music, you know? And even some of the kids that like 20, like they were just born and they just love the music. So that was a beautiful feeling. David Radigan was playing my records, like Don't Stay Out Late and Mon Pan, Independent Jamaica. So it was a beautiful feeling to see my records are gone way over Spain. very, very interesting, yes.
The music has certainly traveled. It's really impressive to see what BP Records has become over time. You know, it's this, I mean, we could talk for hours, but I did want to ask you, where do you see Jamaican music in the future?
Where do I see Jamaican music in the future? You know, that the music never dies, you know. I realize that even if the record is old, when you hear it for the first time, you get that same feeling. I remember when my son went to California to live for almost 20 years, and he would find a record playing on the radio like a Percy Sledge or a Jim Reeves. He said, Mom, do you know this artist? I said, Randy, that artist passed through my door 20 years ago. So the same feeling that I had when I heard it, the same feeling he has. So the new generation, although the record is old, when they hear the record for the first time, it gives you that same feeling. So I think reggae music is here to stay, because it's not just the music, it's the message in the music. You know, we all pass through teenager stage, rebellious stage, you know, all the different stages in our life. And funny it is, the records have so many different pockets. Like when you're young, you like the dancehall, then you get more mature. Then you like the roots and culture. And then when you get a little older, you like the lovers rock. So it goes by your age too. So it grows by, when you get a little older, you go to the softer music. So I think that's why Sean Paul, with his music like dancehall, it really took on a lot because it was the young people who liked it first. And when you get a little older, you go to the roots music, meditation music. And then when you get a little older now, you go to the lovers rock. So it never dies. It has different pockets for different ages. And I think that because of the music and the message in the music, people really associate it where they're going through life. Because you could hear a song and it just brings back a lot of memories to you from the day you heard it when you're a child. It has something to do. That's why music is so powerful, because regardless of what language you speak, you can identify with the rhythm or the message in the song, the struggles that people go through. So It's not just a listening music, it has a powerful message that carries. When I went to Alaska and we came off the ship, there below us was a little 3-piece band singing One Love. It was, oh my God, man, reggae music gone even to Alaska. It was reggae music playing One Love, One Heart. It was a very good feeling to see how far the music had traveled, you know.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and a beautiful feeling in America when I come here too. It's like in the summer, like you'd have 3 rows of cars when you stop at the stoplight, like 3 rows. So they all put down their window, and you would hear reggae play in this car, reggae play in this car, and sometimes I'm in the middle and I'm listening to reggae, just like I'm in Jamaica. Reggae playing in the 2 cars, and little do they know that this is the lady that brought these reggaes here. So it's a beautiful feeling, beautiful feeling. And then when I went to celebrate our 25th anniversary at Radio City Music Hall, and oh my God, the lights with my name up on the board, and the people was just so excited to hear the artists singing. You know, we had Barry Salmon, Sizzler, do you name it? We had the whole genre.
Yeah.
Exciting time.
It's impressive. It really is impressive.
So those are my fun memories. I guess you'll read it in my book, right?
I did, yes, and I really enjoyed it. Which is also why definitely for viewers you should buy this book. Not only because it's a very good book, but also the proceeds of the book are going to your foundation, right?
Yes.
The Vincent and Patricia Foundation.
Yes.
Can you tell us maybe a little bit more about that?
Well, you know, I've been doing a lot of charity work over the years. So this year I decided to create a foundation where hopefully I can get more money, that I give away more monies to other charities, like especially schools. And I want to develop music, you know, so that people can really. One thing I remember growing up, I should say, although we were poor, very poor, my mother sent us to piano lessons. So music is very important to the young child. So I've supported Alpha Boys School, which is a school that teaches a lot of music from the sisters. And they have a lot of great musicians and singers that comes from that school. So that's one of my big charity. And other schools that I really wanted to have a platform for music and kids' education about music and the culture. So that's why I built my Vincent and Pat Foundation, so that I can help more in the development of reggae music, Caribbean music on a whole, because we did do calypso and soca when we came here too. So it's not only reggae, we extended the genre to other types of music.
Yeah. Well, I think for now we're going to wrap it up. Yes, you heard it. Please buy your copy of Miss Pat, My Reggae Music Journey, which will be released in spring. So you can learn more about this extraordinary woman, but also you can support a good cause and support communities.
And I want to say thank you for this session. And I also want to thank all the reggae fans and my friend Elaine, who has really gave me a nice article in her magazine, and all the reggae fans over the world who have supported reggae. You know, it's been a journey, and without you guys, the radio station, the DJs, the writers, the announcers, like you, the announcers too, and people who has helped me along the journey. I am very grateful, and I look forward to be here again. I'll do my second book. How's that?
Perfect. So latest then we'll talk again.
Yeah, talk again. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much
for this interview, and I wish you all the best and God's blessing. Merry Christmas when it comes, Happy New Year, and all the best for the 2021.
So this is it. If you enjoyed this episode of RIDDIM Chat, do leave us a like and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you next time.